Here's our backpack that we're going to make. It has some really nice curved straps with some webbing. Got a couple of buckles sewn on here. These are padded straps. We also have a couple of pads on the shoulders, and we've got a back pad that's sewed in there. We've got some padding on the bottom that we've pleated in just to keep it more flexible. We've got a pouch type pocket with a zipper and a couple little straps for whatever. And we've got another pocket up here on the top that you can put stuff into. If you want to learn how to do this, stick around because I'm going to start from the beginning. There's absolutely no patterns. We made all of the patterns ourselves from scratch. So there's some variations in how you can do this thing. You could definitely do a little bit of decoration stuff or pockets on the sides if you want to. Once you learn how to do this, you'll be able to add whatever you'd like. Put in a nice little handle up here at the top. We've got some adjustable straps on the buckles, and that's it. So it's a backpack. Seems like there's a lot of people looking for this. So I'll show you how we do it in our shop. All right, so let me start out by saying I'm going to use one of these Fisker mats and a wheel cutter that has all the measurements on this thing. I'm not going to emphasize too much on the measurements because we're going to custom make this thing, so you can make it as big as you want to. And I like to use this mat for some of these little projects just because it makes it a little easier. It's kind of fun to use, actually. So I've cut just a few blank pieces of fabric here, and I've decided that I want to make this backpack about 12 inches by 18 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece out of here that is 13 by 19, so we have some seam allowance. We're also going to do a little bit of shaping on it too. So this happens to be a factory seized edge, which I know is a good straight edge. So let's bring it over and go ahead and cut this off at 19 inches straight away. And then we need to have a squared off edge. So if you line the bottom up, and then we want to pull it over and make it 13 inches. That got a little crooked right there, but that's all right because we're just making a All right, so at the top of this thing, I set this compass at 4 inches. So what I want to do is I just want a radius all right, just roughly now. So let's do that. And I should probably use this cutter. All right. Now what I want to do, I'm going to make that the top. So do we want? I don't want quite as much of a radius at the bottom. So let me shorten this thing up. Let's go to about 3 inches. That thing doesn't cut the best. Maybe I need to push harder. So that kind of looks like a backpack to me. You could taper it in at the top some, but I think I'm going to leave it like that because what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a couple of little shoulder pads with some 1/2 inch foam, and then we'll build a back pad also and it's going to give it a little bit of character as well. So let me get a pencil here and let's kind of shape that somewhat. Yeah, let's do them like that. And then down here, I want to come up about 4 inches. Now let's go about 5 inches. All right, so I want a 5-inch pad down here, and then we'll duplicate this and make it for 2 different shoulder pads up there at the top. But before we do that, what we need to do is we need to cut out another piece. If this is the back, we need to cut out the front. Yeah, that's... All right, so we got 2 of the same pieces here, and as you can tell, it's not exact because we're going to be working with seam allowance and all kinds of stuff. So if I line this up at 10 inches, we got 23 inches, 6.5. I'm going to put a center mark on both of those pieces just for reference for us later. And now we can take the front piece and move it out of the way, and let's get started on making some of these pads. First thing I need to do is just take another piece of material here, get a big enough swatch here. Let's see what we can do about duplicating that. All right, that looks pretty good. So what we need to do is cut out 2 of these. Okay, so what did we do here? That goes like that. That goes like that. So let me write that this is the inside and this is the inside. All right, so we have some of the scrap out of here. This is just some foam, right? Just from if you've got a local supplier, you can get, actually we need to make the inside. I got this at one of the fabric stores, so it's just 1/2-inch foam. You could use 1/4-inch foam if you'd like to, and rather than trying to use that wheel cutter with that pattern on that, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And that is the inside. All right. Did I not write the inside on that? Did. And that's not the way it goes. That's why you write it on there, John. Jeez. I mean, that one goes there. Maybe it's this one. Nope. Now what did I do? Okay. That's how we got it. See how crazy that is? Just something as little as that. If you just write it down, you'll know. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch this foam down on here. Now you can use some basting tape. Sometimes it does help. Just put a couple pieces of basting tape on here. You'll see that sometimes I do use basting tape and sometimes I don't, because a lot of times I just find it's easier to just hold it on. And it doesn't have to be exact, right? Because we're going to use the pattern that we have for the exact measurement, and after I sew it down, you come back and trim it up. So let me go to the sewing machine, we'll sew these. All right, easy enough to do. I'm just going to take this, I'm going to put it right on the edge, because we're going to bind one side of this thing. So all I'm doing is sewing right on the edge of the fabric. Now we can come back, I'm not sure if this wheel will work, but we can come back and we can just trim that. Yeah, it works okay. That one's good. All right, so let's put these back on here and figure out what we've got going on. That's going there, that's going there. So what we need to do is we need to come over and we need to bind that side, we need to bind that side, and then we'll come back and just stitch it to the bottom side. Before I get to that, let me back up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and make this bottom piece as well. So let me just cut a chunk off of here. Let's make the bottom piece so we can do it all at one time, right? So is that a straight edge? That's a straight edge right there. So if I put that on here, line it up with our marks and cut this guy out. Oh, did you just see that? I did that. I just cut that damn thing right off. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. What a tater head. All right, well, there you go. So live action. Let me reboot. So I'm gonna come back. The good news is I still have the original pattern. So what we'll do is we'll cut another one of those things out because I'm a jack planet. And we'll do that again. It doesn't make any difference because these things are still going to go on there the same. So let me make another bottom, cut this out, And I'm going to get this stitch to this the same as this, and then we'll start with the binding. I'll come back. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through here and I'm going to sew the outside edge first to make sure I've got it lined up properly, and then I'll come back and I'll sew on the inside. So once you've got them sewn on there, I'm going to come back with this razor knife and I'm going to cut off all that excess that's sticking out, because ultimately we're going to wind up binding this edge so it's cleaned up so that you don't have any rough, raw edges. All right, so trimmed up. All right, so next on the list here is going to be, we need to make some straps with the webbing on it. And we also need to make a couple of triangles that are going to hold the strap for the buckle that's going to hold the shoulder straps on there. So this is next.